If someone asked you a question, how do we learn about Jesus? More than likely you would say something like this. We learn about Jesus by studying the Bible, prayer, discussion with other believers, worship. And we would answer that in a specific way. We would say, we learn about Jesus, and then we would say how we do it. We would give the action, learning about Jesus, and we would give the manner, or how it was to be accomplished. How do we learn about Jesus? By doing these things. And what that's called is an action manner statement. You have the action and the manner in which it's accomplished. And this happens very frequently in the scripture. So we're going to study what an action manner is and give an example of how that works as we look at our series on Bible tracing. So let's look at what a action manner statement is, kind of give a formal definition. It says this: an action manner statement is a statement of an action or statement which tells more explicitly what is involved in carrying out an action. So the symbol that we're going to use for an action manner is, for action, we're going to say AC, and for manner, MAN, action manner. Just abbreviate that just a little bit. The key words that we're going to look for are by, and sometimes that by can also be the word through. By or through, and the two words in that. So we're going to be mainly looking for by and in that. Sometimes by is also translated through in the scriptures. So let's look at one passage and see how this works. Let's look at Romans 10:17. Romans 10:17 says this: so faith comes from hearing, and hearing by the word of Christ. So let's split this up into prepositions and see how it works. Let's right justify it so we can have room to write on the left. It says this: so faith comes from hearing, and, so we see an and statement, so we're going to split the preposition there, and hearing by the word of Christ. So we have that by there. That's an action manner statement, so we split it right there. So you should have three separate prepositions right there. One that says, so faith comes from hearing, and then and hearing, and thirdly, by the word of Christ. So where is our action manner statement? Our action manner statement is between and hearing by the word of Christ. What's the action? The action is hearing. What's the manner? By the word of Christ. It gives a specific statement that tells more explicitly how it's carried out. It's not just random hearing, it's hearing specifically the word of Christ. So we can bracket and hearing to by the word of Christ using an action manner bracket. So how does this connect? So faith comes from hearing. Now you might think on the outset, and you would be correct up to this point to do so, that connecting so faith comes from hearing, and then the next statement, and hearing by the word of Christ, would be a series by the and that we find there. And up to this point, again, that would be the case. But it doesn't carry on the thought in the same way that most series do. In reality, and we're going to talk about this here in just a couple sessions, this is what's called an action and result. The action is hearing by the word of Christ. That's what's going on. And the result is having faith that comes from hearing. So our action, we bracket and hearing by the word of Christ, to so faith comes from hearing. Because so is a result. When we say, so this happens, we're saying that's a result. The result from what we said previously. So hearing by the word of Christ is bracketed to our first statement, so faith comes from hearing. And hearing by the word of Christ is the action, and the result is the faith of hearing from the word of Christ. But we'll talk about action and result here in just a few sessions, if not the next one. We'll see where that goes. So that is an action manner statement. It's an action and how it is carried out. That's indicated by the words by, or maybe through, or the words in that. So keep that in mind as you're reading the Bible, that when you see an action and it's followed by a by or in that or through, that it's telling how this action is accomplished in that action, how that action is more further delineated out, how we know exactly what we're supposed to do in this action, what the result should be after we do this action. So keep those action manners in mind and look out for those key words, and I'll see you in the next session. Thanks.